Another special edition of Forward Focus Thursday. We have been back by popular demand. I'm so excited to come to you live today. I'm just very happy to be with my family, with my grandfather, my uncles, my father. We missed y'all. We really have. We know we've been some time away, but I'm so thankful on today we're able to come back. So going back to how we do it, like it's like riding the bike. We never really got off. We still know how to do it. In honor of my Uncle Joe's campaign, where for those who may not know, he's running for Episcopal office, and he received his ballot number a few weeks ago, which is 411. And so there was an album back in the early 90s by the great Mary J. Blige, What's the 411? Where 411 is known for getting out the information and who has the latest gossip, what have you. So instead of saying what's going on in your world, how about today we ask each other the question, what's the 411? So I would start with Uncle Phil. Uncle Phil, what's the 411 for you?
First, it's good to be back and to see my family in a familiar setting that we haven't been in for a while. The 411 for me is who can we best elevate that will serve the church and right the wrongs and put us back on a good path because we've gone way left. And I'm very proud to say that I believe that my brother, Dr. Joseph Nathaniel Cousins Sr., is aptly suited and more than capable of fulfilling that responsibility.
Okay, Dad, what's the 411 for you?
Thanks, Phil. Thank you, Phil. Thanks, Phil.
Well, I ditto everything that Phil said. I'm just glad to be here. Glad to still be alive after my tragic fall.
Granddad, what's the 411 for you?
It's interesting that 411 it comes with April the 11th, and it's maybe it's a good sign. It's a good sign that things are moving in the right direction, and I'm hopeful and praying because I don't want to sound overly heavy, but I'm sure that Joseph will be an excellent bishop and will carry out many of the policies that we tried to do and see, because the church always needs good, strong leadership that will move forward and help bring about the kind of innovative changes that make it necessary for the church to adjust to the surrounding problems that are there in our culture, and not to allow the culture to overtake them, but to help shape the culture so the culture is guided by the principles that we believe in our faith. That's my 411.
Amen.
And by 411, because I have to go home. This was a text message from my lovely wife, Dr. Christina. First and foremost, I want to wish a happy Founders Day to the brilliant and lovely ladies of Spelman College. So that's why I had to say to get that out the way. So happy Founders Day to all the Spelmanites out there. Also, I'm excited that UConn was on pure display of brilliance Monday night. So definitely got my national championship t-shirt. But it's not about us today. It's about my uncle, where really it was really divine providence that we could bring back Forward Focus on 411 with this number being 411. So to actually now ask the candidate, Reverend Dr. Joseph Nathaniel Cousins Sr., what's the 411? Where are you traveling to these days?
First of all, I want to thank everybody. I want to thank y'all. Steve, I want to thank you for this great idea today. And Dad and Phil and Steve Sr. and Brother Lavender, Sister Frey and Reverend Pace, everybody. I want to thank y'all so much. Also want to shout out Cornelius Petway, otherwise known as Chico, for helping me out. He's driving right now. And you asked where I'm going. I'm in the car, and we're headed to visit the 12th Episcopal District mid-year meeting with Bishop and Supervisor Mitchell and the fine people of the 12th Episcopal District. We're on the road to Little Rock, Arkansas as we speak. I do a lot of driving. Most of my trips have been done driving because number one, I like driving, I don't mind. But number two, it's more cost effective. And one thing I'm trying to do is make this campaign as cost effective as we can. So we've driven a lot of places. I've been trying to keep a loose count in my head, but we're somewhere between 90 and 100 trips now, I'd give or take. I would say that we've been since announcing almost 2 years ago. So we've been as the song says, we've been everywhere. We've been all over. In Little Rock today, headed to Athens, Georgia, and I believe Florence, South Carolina next week. And we're just continuing to move forward and thanking everybody for your support and your prayers and your encouragement. It's a long road, but we're glad to be on it.
So I noticed that because I was with you when you made your announcement in Georgia, I want to say in Columbus, Georgia, about 2 years ago.
Yeah, about 2 years ago.
And by you traveling, really across the world. What has your traveling been like? What have you learned in visiting conferences and speaking to members of this great denomination? What have you learned from them about how you best can serve them?
Well, I learned, first of all, that I love our church. I love the AME Church. I love the people. I love the stories. I love to talk to people. It's just been a blessing. Every bishop I've experienced and encountered and been with, and I've been with most, have been very kind. And one thing that people really want to know, they just want to know that the church is in good hands. And they want to know that we care about the church and care about some of the situations that are going on. And just being honest with you, we don't talk too much about it, and maybe we don't talk enough about it, but particularly what's going on with handling our annuity situation, what's going on with handling some of the other things that are rising up in the church, but just knowing that dealing with a decline in membership in some places. But one thing I've tried to do is not just focus on all the bad things that are happening, give solutions and understandings and ways where we can hopefully avoid those pitfalls again, but also encouraging and talking about the good things and the fact that our church, and the greatest thing our church has going for it, is a rich tapestry in history, relationships, trust in God, belief in God, love for one another, love for humankind, and just we are a connectional church. We are connected. And so the greatest thing I've experienced from this is just really tapping into that connection. It's been great. And although today, I must admit, Steve, you caught me this morning, I'm being transparent, I hit a travel wall today because sometimes, and Phil, you did it, Dad, you did it, y'all know, sometimes, the travel just gets you when you go somewhere every single week. I think that other than Holy Week, we've pretty much been somewhere every single week. So it hits you after a while, but to God be the glory, and you keep on going and you praise God and pray for a favorable outcome.
So I like what you said, talking about the experience that you're not the first one in our family to run for this office. So my question would be for Uncle Phil and for Granddad, when you were running and when you were traveling, what did you learn through your experiences about what the people were looking for?
People were looking for my running was during the time when the church was going through changes with the fiscal policy and changes with structure and understanding what the structure would be like. But the people were looking for those who were concerned about bringing in more young folk who could continue. The mark of many good churches, not only the AME Church, is how can you find the children of some of the old folks still in the church. If you go to church and you got some officers in the church who are 70, 60, and 70, got children in there who are 30 and 40, but they ain't nowhere near the church. What does that say to us? So one of the things that I found out, we have to find a way to make the connection, to make certain that those who come as a part of a family don't leave the family when they get a certain age, but stay with the church and not get so many who said, I used to be AME, but now I'm proud to be AME. I'm proud to be a part of the heritage and the structure and all that the church has done to make this part of our society much better. So I found many people who are interested in trying to bring about new changes that would help broaden the tent of entrance, so it was not only for an old folks home, but it was for young folk as well.
Uncle Phil, what about you?
I concur with everything that my father has said.
So, Uncle Joe, given, we had Granddad run in 1976, we had Uncle Phil run for the 2008 election, and now here you are seeking service in 2024. What are some of the bridges that you believe you could learn, from the path, from really the road that they paved to bring into your campaign?
Well, it's interesting because listening to Dad a minute ago talk about people wanting to bring in younger people and keep younger people in the church, which is true. One of the pitfalls not pitfalls, but one of the things that people discuss about me and other candidates is that about age. And I'm 50 years old. I'll be 51 in June. And you hear that now, and it's funny because when your grandfather was elected, he was elected young back then. Bishop Cummings was elected young back then. Bishop Adams was elected young. Who else was elected when they were really young, Dad? Back then with you?
That you hit Anderson.
Bishop Anderson. All y'all were pretty young, honestly, in your 40s and 50s. Nobody was over their 50s.
Right.
So one of the things, and I'll just be honest with you, completely transparent, I think the church needs to elect persons that are going to be able to give some longevity, and elect some persons that are going to be able to give you a good day's work and put in some time to really affect the church. I think that's part of the reason the church was able to go and do so much from those classes. And I think that's very important. And I don't think we should deter anyone, older or younger, from running based on their age, but understand what you can bring to the table. And in my opinion, bringing longevity to the table and the opportunity to put in a really good day's work.
So when you are elected in Columbus, what are some goals you believe you can accomplish in that role?
Well, what happens is, so I thank you for saying when I'm elected. That's one of the scariest things. And I thank my brother Phil, especially because Philip, everybody's been supportive, but Phil is always supportive. And Phil says that too. He says you have to say when, not if. I always say if, because one thing I never want to be seen as somebody who's, overly cocky or anything of that nature, because it's all in God's hands and you never know. But I just thank you for your support, Phil, for your support and your encouragement. What I would like to bring to the office of being a bishop, first of all, you have to look at the lay of the land. One of the things that we were taught pastoring, and I've been pastoring 27 years, and one of the things that Dad taught us going into a church, he said, first thing you do is you have to assess your situation, to figure out where you are, figure out what's needed, and figure out what's going great and what we can work on. And what I believe when you're a bishop, I'm guessing, and Dad, you can correct me if I'm wrong, things look different from the outside than they do from the inside. And so you begin to take the view from the outside going in. And then once you get in there, you see, all right, what can we work on? What can we do? I think there are many great things we have going on, but I believe that one of the things that we could really work on is maintaining that connection to our younger persons, to the persons that are leaving the AME church, and asking themselves the questions, why are they leaving the AME church? To maintain that, also to continue to foster relationships with our laity and working on having a constant stream of communication between bishop and clergy and lay, and also being able to continue to build on relationships with your colleagues on the bench. Because one of the things that you deal with when you're a bishop is also maintaining your relationship with your colleagues. And so there are many different moving parts and many different moving pieces, but I'll be excited and also excited to bring a fresh perspective and a different perspective from a different generation.
Well, speaking of a different generation, so glad to have my cousin, your nephew, granddad's grandson on here, Timothy Charles. So good to see you. Where I think he's also offered himself up for the second district REAC president. I'm just putting it out there. So Tim, what's the 411 for you?
Well, the 411, of course, nothing has been certified, so I'm just an aspirant. Nothing is official. But prayerfully we can get that going. But as far as young adults are concerned, it's needed that it's not a secret that their presence is needed in the church. Right now you have the seasoned saints, and then you have ones that bring their children to church, and then you don't see that middle generation. So my 411, or what I want to get from the candidate, what's your plan to bring, do you have a plan of young adult retention for the AME Church?
I mean, I do, and it's funny because Timothy and Cornelius, Timothy, and many other young people, all in their 30s, are working with the campaign and helping with the campaign. Steve, who is pretty much managing the campaign at this point, is in his 40s, but very early 40s. So it's younger people helping out. And Tim used to work with me at Bethel AME Church in Ann Arbor, and we talked about this. And this is funny that you should say about retaining young people, Tim. You said it's two things, and I'll never forget this. It's two things you have to do to keep young people in church. First of all, you have to give them something worth coming for. So make sure that when they come to church, it's something worth their while. The experience is worth their while. And once you get them there, you have to give them something to do. You don't tell them what to do. You ask them, what would you like to do? How be a part of this? You have to value their opinion, value their inputs. One of the problems I have with where I see things going, you have young people that are managing corporations and running corporations and doing, big things and multi-million-dollar endeavors and all kind of stuff. Yet we want to put them on the junior steward board, or we want to say you hadn't put your time in yet, or we don't want to give them any responsibility on a local, a district, or connectional level. And I think there's got to be some equity there in terms of getting our young people, and then also encouraging them to get their friends and get their coworkers and their others to come as well. But it starts by giving them something to look forward to and putting them to work in a place where they enjoy. That's something they would enjoy doing and listening and valuing.
All right, we got a lot going on. Dad, we haven't heard from you yet. So here's my question, for you. What do you think the personalities, characteristics of what a bishop should be? Like, what do you look for in electing a candidate for Episcopal service?
Well, first of all, somebody who I believe is honest and trustworthy. Because when you get to that level, you're not only dealing with just a person, you're dealing with a family. So you have to weigh a whole lot of decisions. You have to look at how will that affect that person's family if you move them from this point to that point. So it becomes a very grievous task. And you don't want someone who's a trickster, a joker, a player to be in that position, because it hurts families, and it hurts the church.
Yeah.
So I would hope
Yeah.
that person, is the kind of person who, first of all, consults with God goes down on his or her knees before they make any of these decisions, and not make them just just off the top of their head. Like I had a dream that you'd be moved so and so. I don't know none of that stuff. Please, please.
Steve, I'm laughing because not to say, and this is not casting aspersions on anything that happened in the past, but just piggybacking on what you said. One thing you really can't do as a bishop, you can't be vindictive, and you can't hold grudges, and you can't go in there. I don't think it's very prudent to go in there doing those kinds of things. And so you have to really try to be as fair as you can be, because you are dealing with people and their families. Bishop Jackson, 7 years ago, blessed us and moved us from Bethel, AME in Ann Arbor, to Allen Temple in Woodstock, and it's been a blessing. I loved Bethel Ann Arbor. I still love Bethel Ann Arbor, but it was a great opportunity to come to Allen Temple, to come to Steve doesn't like to call it, and Chico doesn't like to call it, but Metro Atlanta, to come to Woodstock.
Woodstock. Just say Woodstock. Don't say no Metro North. No, it's Woodstock.
Metro North Atlanta, to come down. But when he did that, Bishop Jackson considered myself, considered my wife, considered my family, and I was very pleased on that, and I'm very glad about that. Always checked in on them, always made sure they were okay, always made sure they were okay in the moving process, make sure they're okay beyond the moving process, and just been there for us. And I think as a bishop, that's what you need to be. You need to be there for your pastors, because again, in any move, you're not just dealing with the pastor, you're dealing with the spouse and the family and everything else. And that's a lot. That's true.
Okay. All right. So we got my Uncle Michael cousin that's been doing a lot of frequent commentating, although he should be on the call, but he was nervous that I was going to dominate the conversation today. But as you can see, Uncle Mike, we're being, it's all about the candidates. So you feel free to join. We now, in terms of, legacy and what we're trying to do, my Dr. Christina Dickerson cousin had a question in the comments for us in the comments section. Changes subjects, but kind of still on the same path. She wanted to know what are our thoughts on the passing of O.J. Simpson.
Thoughts and prayers to the family. I think that should wrap it up right there. Thoughts and prayers to the family.
Before we do that, I do have to put a plug in, Steve, where we are right now. I'm gonna turn my camera around so you can see where we are right now. Chico wanted me to shout it out. Let me see. Hold on, y'all. Make sure I turn the camera around here.
I can do that.
Trying to turn my camera around. I can't figure out how to do it here. Anyway, we're at Buc-ee's, Steve. So Chico said you gotta shout out Buc-ee's. We're at Buc-ee's in Leeds, Alabama, right outside of Birmingham.
If it ain't Wawa, we're not interested. Y'all can, I don't understand the fast station with Buc-ee's, but y'all can have it. If it ain't Wawa, we don't want to know about it, but okay.
So and Christina wanted to know about the passing of O.J. Simpson. I just found out about it myself. I'm with Tim. Thoughts and prayers to the family. That's a tough one, man.
Thoughts and prayers to the family. I'm telling you. That's a tough one. Just keep it. Thoughts and prayers to the family. Hey, listen, we're not trying to go on another hiatus. Thoughts and prayers to the
family. Speaking of hiatus, it's so good to see Mr. Peabody, who joined us today. Look at that Central College, I want to say. So, Mr. Peabody, the professor, how are you today? What's the 411 for you?
I was doing well, doing work in the office, being productive, trying to get some stuff done. But I heard my name. I was listening and making comments. And so I thought I would give you at least 15 minutes. I'm trying to stay productive, but I'm doing well. And listening to the conversation and being blessed by it and seeing my many family members. Hello, everybody. Joe, I thought you were point on in terms of bringing and implementing youth into leadership. We call that reverse mentoring, where we learn from one another and bringing them to the table. And there's no such thing as a junior steward. You can use the junior steward board. I've done that many years, learned that from my father and from his father. There comes a time when young people, if they can run Fortune 500 companies or be executives in those companies, what makes you think that they can't be brought to the table of leadership? Here's the thing to think about. You have
That's
some
right.
persons that are afraid to say, well, I don't, that person's too young to be on the steward board, but they're not too young to cook your food at the fast food restaurants.
Right.
They're not too
And Mike,
those other things. So,
not not too young to manage your money, because some of them are financial people. I want to shout out one of them, a young man that was our musician, still a musician at Bethel Ann Arbor, Leonard Alford. Leonard will probably watch this back at some point, but Leonard is now about 35 years old, 30, no, maybe 37 years old. But when he started working at Bethel, he was in his early 20s. Now he's managing huge human resources and finances for major corporation, sitting on boards. I mean, doing amazing things as a young man. And it's many, many stories like that and people like that out there who we simply cannot just neglect and overlook because of their age. I don't think that's fair. Just like on the flip side too. Now, let's be honest. My treasurer at Allen Temple right now, Allen Temple Woodstock, he's 80 years old. And when he became the treasurer, he was like 75. He said, Pastor, I'm too old to be treasurer. I said, no, you're not. You're not too old to be treasurer, because I think you do a great job. And guess what? Doing an amazing job. So no matter what your age is, we can't just discount people. We really have to look at who can bring what to the table, in order, like you said, Mike, to learn from each other.
Yeah.
And so I want to stay there just for a second. Granddad, if I'm not mistaken, you got elected in your early 40s. One of the youngest bishops of that time. What pushback did you receive, if any, when you first decided to announce your candidacy? Given, I'm assuming you had to be in your late 30s when you made your announcement. What pushback did you receive? Did you ever get that you were too young, or you weren't enough experience to actually run for this office?
Oh yeah, you always say you can wait your time, wait your time, wait your time, wait your time. Well, I tell them this is my time, and no need to wait my time. This is my time. Wisdom does not come with age, or wisdom is not lost with age. Wisdom is determined by the person, and I think one of the difficulties we have in our church is the fact that we have so much in terms of retiring at an age level for clergy, but nothing that even comes close to retiring those who are in the laity. Nothing. So now, when you look at where we are, if you have a pastor who has to retire at 75 and a steward board that's 80 and above, you reconcile that for me.
And see, and the thing I run into, Dad, is there should always be, and I think you'll agree, a balance of some sort. You got to balance it out. And I think we've just always had difficulty achieving that balance. You know what I mean? Just finding a proper balance.
Oh yeah, we always do. Like I said, you can't have all one age or all another age. I think the best thing is to find those who have the ability to do what is required to be done. And age should not determine, and age does not determine your ability.
So, Mr. Peabody, I got a question really for everybody. Yes, I was just happy to see my Uncle Mike. It's rare I get to see him, so I'm just so happy, to see him on camera. Oh, there it is. And we're gonna talk about that because I need your advice. Granddad, you were known as, being able to help out young preachers, especially for those coming out of seminary, and how you're able to give them their start. And a lot of people are where they are today because they found favor within your eyes, especially encourage them to go to seminary and looking out for them once they graduate. Now we're seeing a trend where most of our people are not going to seminary, and that talent pool is somewhat drying out. So, Uncle Joe, with that challenge where you don't really have those entering seminary or trying to further the educational career to meet the requirements to be ordained an itinerant elder in this church, what are some ways that you can do to encourage seminary, or do we need to look at a different model in terms of getting people to pastor our churches?
Well, I mean, and I can't wait to hear the response on this one. Um, I think where we've maybe fallen short is you can't just look at seminary as a means to an end. So I think sometimes people just say, I want to go to seminary so I can pastor. No, you should want to go to seminary so you can be a more effective pastor, and so you can understand more. So we stop looking at it as just something that's a means to an end and begin to look at it as something that's actually going to enrich us. I look back at myself before I went to seminary and myself now, and Michael always pushed me on this one. He said, you know, you don't know how much you don't know. And you really don't. You really don't know how much you don't know. And I think it's important, but not just pushing seminary just so you can get ordained, but pushing seminary and promoting seminary so it can actually help you be better at what you're doing.
Mr. Peabody, what are your thoughts on that?
I think that to go to seminary is a tool to better you for your craft. A friend of mine asked me that this morning, and I think she's contemplating her call. And she said that did going into seminary make you a better person? I said, no, it made me a professional person. I already knew who I was going in. I already had my call. It helped me to hone out my craft. Now, if there are those, we see suffering within in our churches because you have many that have tried to hone their craft without necessarily getting the right tools, the tools of education, to understand what you're getting ready to put forth. To mess with someone, to preach to someone each and every Sunday is to mess with someone spiritually every day. So, I mean, you have to be able to discern. Do you wish to just go and say something, or do you want to know what you're saying so that others may benefit from it, and for the building of the body? I really shudder when I hear a person say, "Is seminary necessary?" Now, at the age that I'm at, I understand the wisdom of my father and his father when he says, in terms of one thing my grandfather told me. He said, son, go to school. He said, don't let anybody tell you anything differently. You've got to go to school. You've got to understand what you're preaching about. And years and education help, here we go, Joe, help remove some of the shaded nuances of things that I saw at 21 that I see differently now at 61, which keeps me effective as a pastor. Yes.
Why? Okay, so my brother Michael and I both got hooked on the show Suits. That's like getting a resurgence, and the show centers around a young man who never went to law school, but was a bright guy, was able to fool everybody into thinking he was a lawyer, but he went to jail behind lying about being a lawyer. So why is our profession the only profession that I can think of where people will say something, so, like, well, you don't have to go to seminary to be a good pastor or a good preacher. You don't have to do this. No, I never heard anybody say you don't have to go to law school to be a good lawyer, or med school to be a good doctor, or dental school to be a good dentist.
Let me say this, Joe. If we don't see value, what makes you think others will value it? If we do not respect it, what makes you think others will respect it? That we must be the ones, when you have persons that were, now you have programs, you could just add water and you get a D-Min. But you read their papers, I is a doctor.
So let me ask you this question, because I think this is pertinent to Uncle Joe seeking the highest office and with the requirements to be an itinerant elder, there's a lot of churches right now that are part-time. It's very rare that you have churches that are, full-time stations. So what is it that you could bring to the table, knowing that you actually have to have, you're required to have this degree for 3 years to be a full seminary full-time, but yet you may accumulate this debt, get sent to a church that can really afford to pay the debt that you're owed. How do you reconcile that?
Stephen, you don't reconcile that. The problem that we have now is one that you have just lifted. It is a problem of the support for full-time ministry is not there for those who have charges that might require full-time ministry, but with no support to keep the full-time ministry going. How do you answer that question? If we look historically, how it was answered historically, it was merger and called circuits, where you had one pastor who had 2 or 3 churches that were able to give full-time support for the preacher. Now, it is,
And you know what?
It is raised that how the money factor when you go 4 years college, 3 years seminary, and come out and make $100 a week or $500 a week. No. That you could make that working in a fast food place. What will we do? Many of the churches, not AME, but the historical denominations, they are facing the same problems. They are going into bivocational ministry. They are going into the kind of ministry that will say that you can specialize in one area and not in another. The chaplaincy is becoming a big instrument in terms of so many of our ministers going to the chaplaincy, not only in the army, but in hospitals, in prisons, everywhere, in order to make ends meet. The problem comes, how are you going to settle the difficulty that a preacher has when that preacher has to take care of that preacher's family, be it male or female? How do you, what do you do? And that's gonna be one of the things, Joe, that you're gonna have to look at. You're gonna have to deal with. How will you handle the rise of the bivocational ministry in our church?
You know what, Dad? It's funny, and people, again, with the age, and let's just be transparent. People will talk about the age and saying that your father was a bishop and all this other stuff, but people don't oftentimes talk about the good things that happen when your father is a bishop. And because you were a bishop and I saw you as a bishop, one of the things I saw you do that I will try to do is to give tuition assistance to any seminarian that attends a Methodist seminary or a Methodist institution. You gave it in the 11th district, I know, and in the 1st district, I know, in the 9th district as well, and in the 4th as well. You did it. So I think that starts there, Dad, doing that. And I learned that from you. I mean, there's so many things. Again, anybody who watches this, you can knock any bishop's son or daughter running for bishop and knock them because their parent was in the episcopacy all you want to. But don't forget about the good things we learn and the good things we see by watching our parents in those elevated levels. And one of those I saw with you was, I saw you give money. Matter of fact, gave money to me when I went to Boston University, gave money to Mike when he went to Boston University, gave money to Dave when he went to Boston University, and so many others, because when you were there, you made sure that you not only talked about theological education, but you backed up what you were saying. And in terms of bivocational ministry, Dad, I think to an extent, and Mike, you go love this one, because Mike and I talk about this all the time. I think at some level, there has to be more of an embracing of bivocational ministry than we've had in the past.
Now,
I think that's just where we are now.
I want to add to this, Joe. The money I got from the church was from Daddy's pocket. Now, I did receive, the AME Church did have a fund. When I think that when the late Dr. Joe McKinney was the treasurer, they would give you $250.
But Dad did it at a district level too, remember?
Huh?
Dad did it at a district level too, remember?
Yeah, Dad did it at district level, but remember, I was between districts when Daddy was elected.
Oh yeah,
when Daddy was
you were,
elected,
yeah.
he was leaving. He was going to the 11th, but I had no claim to the 11th and the 9th. Well, they were like,
that's right. That's right.
So I was
when he left. When he left, it left. So I got you.
Yeah, that's so. I mean, so that was my first year of seminary when Daddy left. For the 9th, go to the 11th, and the 11th had no claims on me, and so the money I received was from his pocket, which shows his support and his commitment to education and supporting of the Theological Education Fund. A lot of persons speak about it, but Daddy spoke about it and also did something about it. I saw him having to fight with people in the 9th district about going to ITC or going to school, and even having those seminars that went back as far as when he was president of Kittrell College, of teaching those preachers the necessity of education. So this is not something he just started overnight. This happened back some time ago, and we are still proponents of education. Of being able to know what you're talking about. It is something when you have persons that really just butcher the word, and you just sit there and listen, and at the end of it, and you have to tell them, Doc, that was something you just preached. And the thing is, what was it? I'm still trying to figure it out. But education helps you sift out those things. Joe and I remember reading Joe's thesis where he wrote some stuff, and I
when I finished college, I finished at Hampton. Yeah,
it was. I said I didn't have the heart to tell him. I didn't have the heart to tell him. It was terrible.
It was bad.
I told him, but I did encourage you and say you need to try again. I believe in encouraging and you learn from your own mistakes, and so
I did.
But education is key. That's why you see back here, Stephen Jr., my hometown, Kittrell Junior College, right there, the B.N. Duke Library, and the gymnasium that Granddad won the national championship for the junior college basketball. So I keep that there so I can always stay in touch with my roots and for the love of the great state of North Carolina.
Once again, I'm going to just go on my little tangent. I never understand how we have Uncle Phil that went to Duke Seminary, Granddad taught at Duke, Uncle Joe born at Duke Hospital, but all y'all became Chapel Hill Tar Heel fans. I would never understand that.
Wait a minute. But this has nothing to do with Chapel Hill. If you know the history of Kittrell, those stones were used from Trinity College, which later became Duke University, I believe in 1927, I believe. Yeah. Back there. So
but yeah, you're still a Tar Heel fan. You talk about Duke guys,
you were born.
Yeah, you wouldn't be a Tar Heel fan.
You were born in UAB
educate him on this building,
and you ain't no Blazer. You were born.
I'm educating, please, Daddy, about the building, the stones.
Hey, Mike.
Reject.
Mike, I'm passing by where Steve was born right now. We're passing UAB Hospital. I'm in Birmingham passing UAB Hospital right now where Steve was born. He's not a Blazer. He wants to be a Husky. So you can't talk.
No. I do Alabama football between August and January. And
We
then when
literally
that's
passed it
over,
right
I
now.
go to UConn from February until April. And I think that served me out where we always win national championships at some point in the calendar year. But that's neither here or there.
I did, Stephen, the reason that we went to Chapel Hill, I also taught at University of North Carolina. And but Duke has always been the ultra conservative place. Carolina was one of the first places that got a black player, Charlie Scott, who came and played basketball with Carolina when Duke wouldn't even look at a black basketball player. Now, living in Durham, Duke was a provider of income, but it was the most conservative place you want to find. Carolina was conservative, but not nearly as conservative as Duke, and far more open than Duke. So most of the black population gravitated toward Carolina rather than Duke. Yes, I taught at Duke, first black professor in the divinity school. Yes, I did. I taught at Carolina. Yes, I did. But I tell you, it was far more open in Carolina than it was in Duke. Duke always had that kind of conservative overtone. It should have. Look who helps Trump more than anybody else, Stephen Miller. And where school did he come from? Duke University. Now, it's a haven for conservatism, but it is open to what it wants it to be. I'm anxious to see what this new coach is going to do and how the recruiting is going to go since Coach K has gone. I'm going to see, because he was leaning and open and to the possibilities of trying to match Carolina and what they were doing in terms of recruiting, and he beat them. But I want to see what the new coach is going to do and what the pressure is going to be from those who are part of the alumni of Duke University. It's going to be interesting to see how it's going to react.
Well, I think right now we could start wrapping it up. We'll go around the horn, but real quick to support, Reverend Dr. Joseph Nathaniel Cousins Sr.'s campaign. We're actually in the process of pre-ordering T-shirts, where you're able to go to allentempleame.org. The website will actually be launched live in a couple of days. But Brother Lavender, are you able to pull up those T-shirts so our audience can see exactly what they're able to pre-order? We have 3 shirts that are for sale. We got the one love the blue with cousin. Talk about coming for focus. We go to the other one. Then you got the one that says focus. I love the graphics. I love the pictures. And what's the third one? The third one should be coming up in any second, but that's another version, the same version, with just another person stock photo of we're in focus, and got my Uncle Joe look about 25 in that picture. Don't look like that now, but that's how he used to look back in the day.
Was last year.
Yeah, that's to be disputed, but okay. And there should be one more where it should have the shirt where it says, "What's the 411?"
I'm gonna have to continue to look for it here. It's not coming up right away.
Okay, we could go back to all of us, but go to allentempleame.org. You will see a tab for how to support the campaign, and we will begin to take pre-orders. But our goal is to make sure that everybody has their shirts to support, and for those who are looking to go to Columbus to be with the candidate, I believe General Conference is from August 21st through the 28th of August. As Terrell Owens said, get your popcorn ready. It's always going to be a hot during that time, but it's going to be an exciting time as well. We're looking for those to, wear their t-shirts. We're still learning the rules and regulations about the bounds of the conference, but we will actually do information about how to go about doing that, of when you're able to wear them. But we're asking for anybody who wants to support the campaign to please actually pre-order your t-shirts ahead of time, so you're able to have them in a timely fashion, and you can wear them anywhere. It doesn't just have to be in Columbus, but in your respectable districts. Just making sure that we get that number out. 411 is very easy to remember. When you think about the focus candidate, he is the one, because he's focused, he has the 411. So, well, with that being said, any last minute thoughts or things you want to say? So starting with Uncle Phil, I love your church the background and wearing an old school shirt and tie. I love that with the cufflinks. You look very dapper today.
I appreciate that. It's the uniform of the day where I work, because I'm one of those bivocational, not by choice, but
Phil,
by.
Phil, speak to that. Speak to that real quick, Phil. Yeah, please speak to that.
I am bivocational, not by choice, but by circumstance. Quite frankly and simply, and I'll say it and be done. I have church members where I pastor ask me, Reverend, why do you have to work another job? And I tell them, because I need another pension. We may now move around.
Timothy Charles,
fair enough.
Given that you're starting off in your ministerial career, but you have a very bright future. What do you say?
People ask, what's the 411? I tell them, stay focused. Cousin for Bishop. God bless everybody.
Hey, thanks, Tim.
Dad, what say you?
Well, I'll be able to say a whole lot more once I get out of this boot. I'm stuck in this boot for about another month, at least maybe more than. Anyway, that's where I am. So just keep me in prayer. I can't fall again. I've fallen. I can't fall again. So y'all pray for me. Praise the Lord.
Uncle Mike,
I wish to thank you for allowing me to join when I told you I had stuff to do. Not saying this is not important, no, because it is important. But to hear your name come out of your mouth,
that's why he did it.
That's why I had to do it, and to be respectful. But I wish to thank everyone and continue to support Joe. Continue to support him financially, physically, and spiritually. And it's a beautiful day today, and we're thankful to be able to see each and every person online. Thank you, as the hymn says, and are we yet alive to see each other's face? We are blessed. And so take that with you. And this came to my mind as I prepared for a great occasion that will happen next week, of my crossing into Alpha Land. To go onward is joyful, but to go onward and upward is a blessing. And so thank you for this opportunity, and God bless y'all.
I'll say my remarks, and then I will. Oh, there it is. What's the 411? Love the stock photo. I love that picture. But all those 3 shirts will be available for pre-order now in a couple of days. So I'm gonna say my remarks real quick. I'm gonna allow the candidate, Dr. Joseph Cousin, to say his, and always for my grandfather to close out this Forward Focus. First off, thank you for everybody who has been asking about us. This would not be possible without you and really you watching. So we appreciate, the audience that we have. I thank Alan Temple. I thank my family for joining the call. I thank my uncle for really having this vision and really always putting himself out there. I've always aspired, although I'm just saying this now for the first time, I do aspire to be like him at some point. So I'm very proud of him. It's how he's always showing me the way. And given that I did go to that great school at the University of Connecticut, where we just showed dominance through in and throughout, I do pick winners. And I'm so thankful that right now, I'm going to call right now Before the NCAA tournament started, I picked UConn to win it all. And so now I'm declaring right now that I believe that my uncle will be elected bishop in August of this year. So I'm picking winners. Right now, I got a good record for 2024, and I don't see no way how it's going to stop. So keep supporting my uncle, keep praying for him, give him traveling mercies as he go to Arkansas to be with Bishop Mitchell on tonight. So thank you for offering yourself up for service. So I'll leave it to the candidate and let Granddad close it out.
Thanks, Steve. I really do appreciate you. Congratulations to UConn. They were the most dominant team this year. They were. Nobody could touch them this year. I can't deny that. But I want to thank you. I want to thank Steve for this idea today, and my nephew and my brothers and my dad, Reverend Pace, Brother Lavender, Sister Letitia Frey, everybody. And for those who want to help, they ask, Christina asked the question, Steve, what was the trip to Africa like? In the chat, and the trip going to GDC in Africa when we went to Johannesburg, it was amazing. It was marvelous. We had a great time. Nicole, my wife, Carissa, sister cousin, she went. I went. We had a marvelous time over there, and it was great. I mean, just great seeing the people, great seeing the culture, great seeing the church at a global level. It was beautiful, but it was expensive. And for anyone that has the opportunity to or can, any kind of help, prayers, encouragement, and financial support you can give would be greatly appreciated. You can get it from the Allen Temple website, Allen Temple AME, allentempleame.org, or you can get it from josephcousin.com. And we're also going to work, Tim, on putting a link on the website for the t-shirts and everything, but everything is on the website, josephcousin.com and allentempleame.org. Whatever you have to give will be greatly appreciated. As I go across the country, it brought tears to my eyes. So many people helping so much. I was in Florida, and one of the mothers of the church, beautiful, sainted mother of the church, reached in her purse and said, "Baby, I just want to help you along your journey." And that was something I'll never forget, brought tears to my eyes. Traveling through Alabama last week, a brother pastor did the same thing. He said, "I just want to give you some encouragement." And so as you encourage me, I pray to be able to encourage you as well. The journey has been a blessing. It continues to be a blessing, but I couldn't do this without you. And I thank you all who have supported and have yet to support, and especially my family, my wife and children, and my mom, dad, brothers, nephews, nieces, cousins, everybody. And of course, Chico, who's still driving. I want to thank you all for your support. I love you all. And again, I couldn't do this without you. So thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Granddad, on you. You can close us out.
Oh, and everybody, don't get off yet. Those who are on the Zoom with us, we have our post wrap-up conversation. Go ahead, Dad.
We want to thank you for giving us this opportunity. The 411 is very important. I am hopeful that we will continue to give the support, because I might be a little biased, but I'm sure that Joseph will be an excellent bishop. And I'm seeking the support from not only us, but I'm asking for the support from the Almighty Master, God our Father, and say to him, "Lord, it's in your hands. We put everything in your hands. Let your will be done." So we thank you for this session, Lord. Thank you for what you have allowed us to discuss. Give us the joy, give us the comfort, but more importantly, wrap us up with your anointing, grace, and goodness. Give Joe safe travel as he goes. Give us all safe endeavors as we work. And never let us forget that we are servants and ambassadors of the Most High God, and we seek to make the African Methodist Episcopal Church be a vehicle through which kingdom and kingdom people can come and find joy and peace and happiness. In the name of our Savior Jesus Christ, we ask it. Amen.
Thank you, everybody.
Amen. Thank you, everybody.